Freedom rays so glowing found on Montserrat of earth and heart. She sat within her doom of night, met lowering stars and thunderstorms, the stars of liberty, and ceasing from the waking moon, it burned as you had golden flame. She lifted in her proud name, and rise a nation long for long to know her destiny. The lone star forever, the lone star forever, oh long may it float over land, over sea, descend and no never uphold it forever. Oh shout for the lone star banner, oh shout for the lone star banner.
All right, and we are back here. This is the Gracious Hope Live podcast. We are doing this program live as we always, and my name is Pastor Alexander Red. And of course, the co-host, Reverend Suah Deddeh, is also here to host this program. And today we will be looking at the harmony between the Liberian culture and faith. And we all know we have been coexisting in our religious realm or setting, as well as our culture, looking at traditional beliefs, blending with our personal faith with God. And we live in a society where we coexist harmoniously. However, something went wrong, and that's why we experienced the Civil War and all of this strife been taking place in our country, Liberia. And today we will be looking at our culture, its condition, and also looking at our faith in relation to our immediate environment, which is our community, and also our society as a whole, looking at other governing structures like the church, and also the government, that is the realm of politics, and looking at some of the things that we need to do as the way to cultivate the behaviors and attitudes of the young generation. And today, our guest on the program is Reverend Joseph Cephas C.K. Davis. He was born in Grand Bassa County, Buchanan to be specific. He grew up in Liberia, and in his high school, or after his high school, he was elected by the General Board of Global Ministries of the United Methodist Church for mission service. And so he has been in the mission service of the United Methodist Church for a very long time. He was trained as a missionary and also commissioned, and he has a lot of experience and both in his educational pursuit. Right now, he's pursuing his PhD, and the good thing is that he has been elevated to serve in another capacity, maybe the same capacity of the United Methodist Church, but different city, serving two churches in the city of Iowa, or in the state of Iowa. And he will be specific about which one of the churches he'll be serving. He's married, happily married, family man, and he holds a BA in religion from the Baptist Missionary Association Theological Seminary in Jacksonville, Texas. He has also a Master of Divinity from Perkins School of Theology, a major in African American Liberation Theology, their Black Experience in Americas, and a graduate certificate in African American Church Studies at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. And in addition to that, he also holds a Master of Dispute Resolution from the renowned Strauss Institute for Dispute Resolution, Pepperdine School of Law, Malibu, California. And like I said earlier, he's also an ordained elder in the United Methodist Church and conflict consultant. And he's married to Cephas Davis, and he has an amazing 23-year-old daughter, Christiana Limon Davis, who lives in Canada. And in his spare time, he plays pool, chess, and loves cooking. It's not surprising that he loves cooking. People say the Bassa people love cooking, so I know some of you will think that way. But he's our special guest here today, and he has been commenting on a lot of things going on in our country, things that we need to take a deep look at. He believes in equal opportunities for all, job creation, and management structure should be based on ethical values. And so we will be looking at all of that. And he had a recent visit. He visits a lot of countries, 35 countries he travels. And based on his travel experience, he was also in Liberia just quite recently. And a lot of other projects that he's working on there. He will be talking about that. And we'll also be talking about his recent elevation to serve two churches in the state of Iowa. And so we'd like to welcome our guests. But before that, let us bring on Reverend Suah S. Deddeh. Reverend Suah S. Deddeh is also a host on this program. Reverend Deddeh, welcome back to the podcast. It is good that we have Reverend Cephas Davis today as our guest.
Yeah, indeed. I'm glad. I'm feeling kind of funny with this picture today. I don't know, my lighting is kind of funny, but at least you can see my face. So I look like a pink man today. Well, in any case, this is the day the Lord has made. We rejoice and be glad in it. We welcome Reverend Davis. The last time I saw him, I think he has some beautiful dread. I hope he has the dread today. I see him laughing in the background. I hope he has his dread. But in all sense, we are glad to have him. The topic of culture and religion is important. It's a whole 9 years discussion or topic, I would say. We know that culture and religion are deeply intertwined as aspects of human society. And there's no way can divide culture from religion, because religion, by and large, informs and shapes culture, influences beliefs and values and customs and things like that. So we will look forward to the discussion. But on the other side too, buddy, culture also influences religion. So it's interesting we'll be discussing this today. This day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. So welcome to Reverend Davis. He was on our program before, and he's a good talker. I enjoy him when he's elaborating all those issues that are close to his heart. So I'm not surprised we having a day, and I won't be surprised if he goes on to elaborate and we just sit and listen to his sweet talk. And then he's a preacher. Preacher can talk, and I love him when he talks. So welcome, Reverend Davis. Alex, how are you today, brother?
Well, I'm doing great, and I'm so delighted in every way to be here again on this podcast. And for all of you just tuning in, we'd like to say welcome to the Gracious Hope Live Podcast. And this platform of the podcast is all about discussing contemporary issues that affect our Christian life of faith, particularly focusing on Liberia. We're trying to promote and preserve our Christian heritage, looking at our principles and values that enrich the country from its founding. And so here we are discussing things that are of concern. How does your faith relate to your culture, and what its difference are you making? And so it is a pleasure now to bring on our special guest who was recently in Liberia to give us insight on what is going on in Liberia, looking at the spiritual condition, looking at the condition of the people economically. I know he has been outspoken about a lot of things else in society. And so it is a pleasure to have you here, Reverend Cephas Davis. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be back again. And Pastor Suah, I got rid of my dreadlock. The last time we're talking, I had my dreadlock. I got rid of it. Yeah, okay. I do this kind of experiment. This kind of experiment. The other time I kept my beard for like 3 years. See how people react.
Yeah.
And being someone who travel, when I got to the airport, they will call me for a while. They will check me, just to see how other people, make assumption of people, when they see you, because you grow beard, you either a terrorist, you're a Muslim. Yeah, man. And I remember, when I had my dreadlock, we were going to our inauguration in Kentucky, and I was in the passenger seat, and this cab, the police guy pulled us over. And he asked for the driver license and everything. And I was the only person he had to ask for my license. I'm not driving. Why you need my license?
Exactly.
Because I had dreadlock and the way I look.
So you're just suspicious. That's why.
Yep. And that's the sad thing about the society we find ourselves in. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome. Okay,
welcome. Okay, now Liberia, our country, Liberia. We have a strong population of people who profess to know Jesus Christ, ranging from the governmental level to the church itself, and even ordinary people, those who actively member of a church or not actively member of a church, but they believe in our heart. And they do things, spreading compassion or kindness to other people, and looking at the number of years that we have been through conflict. Your recent visit to Liberia, let us get some insight. How is the spiritual condition or the spirit of the people? Because the spirit of the people can bring unity, healing, and reconciliation, especially with our past experiences. What have you seen so far?
I'm in Liberia often. I'm in Liberia 2 times a year. This time I was in Liberia, I had to do my conference and my brother passing. So I wasn't that much too engaged into, things that were happening. But, everybody is kind of like a little bit relieved, we have new government. And everybody's looking forward to see what happens, what this new government brings, to us, But when it comes to the land of the faith area, and that's where I have, some of the serious issue. You find our society now, statistically, we got one of the youngest population on the continent. And in the world, Africa now get the youngest population. And in Liberia, you got 60% of the population below 30, and we get the high percentage of drug into our country, and you find these wonderful people who should be the future of our country. We call them Zogos. The church is not playing any major role in their lives to see our best to bring hope to them, to bring liberation to them. And it just seems like the church on the sideline, not engaging, because a church, if, each day we say the Lord prayer, your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. And God depends on us to bring his kingdom here. And I think the major issue now in our country is the whole drug issue. A whole generation is perishing.
Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. We are discussing a broader term of culture, and religion or Christianity. And Ellis and I've been thinking about the issue of ethics and morality. Now you talk about Zogos, according to disadvantaged youth, who some of them were born through the 90s and they knew nothing else but war. So looking at religious teaching that inform culture and values, how will you look at ethics and morality in Liberia right now, Reverend Davis?
That's a very tough and difficult one to talk about, because if we want to talk about morality in relation to our culture and the lives of the people, to be honest, we say we are actually bankrupt morally. You find people in government who embezzles money. the people resources, and these people are honored in the churches as Father of the Year and Mother of the Year, and that's a very sad thing. The church, the church, the church should be the prophetic voice for the least of these, for God's people. But it seems like the church is not doing much when it comes to that whole moral issue. If we go back when we were growing up, you had Marcus Capata Francis, you have Bishop Arthur Cole of the United Methodist Church. These were prophetic voices. These were people
George G. Brown and things like that.
Yeah, these were people that stood in the gap. But the idea, I think it's very sad, to be frank. That's to be real. That's the issue. Because if you will take the resources that belongs to the people of Liberia, the children of God, and you use it to oppress them, it means you got serious moral issues.
So before Ellis comes in, I just want to be clear so that because people watching, so they will know exactly what you are saying regarding morality and ethics and vis-a-vis the church's role. So are you telling us and our listeners and viewers that the church has let us down?
I won't just make that general statement, but I think the church continued to fail to be the prophetic voice in the midst of oppression, in the midst of suppression, in the midst of corruption in Liberia. I think the church has stopped being that prophetic voice.
Alex, you there?
Yes, I'm here. So let us look at the harmony, okay, between looking at our culture, Liberian culture, and most people will argue that our culture is mostly ingrained with the Christian faith. And nowadays we see a lot of churches everywhere in the capital city and also in Leeward counties. But if you look at the church and examine the church and look at our culture today, some people are saying that the church is not doing much. They are not preaching the right gospel because we still have conflict and we're still struggling with corruption on a governmental level and even in the church. How would you satisfy or answer those people who have that kind of a skepticism?
The truth of the matter is, these people, their assertion is, it makes sense. It's kind of right, that the church has stopped being that moral, that moral guide for the nation, and that is very dangerous when the church that should have been the moral guide for the society has now also joined, the society when it comes to corruption, when it comes to oppression. Then it becomes, then it's very, very, then we find ourselves at this very difficult stage. We agreed, you go back to our history, you see, our founding fathers, we've been claiming faith. We've been claiming faith. I don't think it's not to say they're not preaching the right gospel. I think the problem is you have people who lead in churches that are not trained. And even those that are trained, they stop being a theologian. They only now focus on being a pastor. Because our vocation is not just being a pastor, it's also be a theologian. But when we come from the seminary, we stop the study, we stop the research, we stop the teaching of the biblical text. And all we do now, we just preach and care for people. But you cannot stop being a theologian and only be focused on being a pastor. Because if we start having pastors who will still leave us as theologians, they will be able to teach God's people, the basic truth and the basic biblical things that we are to do. I tell people, everybody focus on now. I joined a scholar like N.T. Wright, who is calling on the Christian faith to rethink heaven. The church
Mhm.
is so much focused on heaven, and they are forgetting the mission that God gave them to do here on earth.
And our mission is reaching out, loving one another as we love
Yep,
ourselves. If we
yep,
profess to say we love God, we must love other people. There's no need to steal from your neighbor. There's no need
yep.
to
That's
commit
it.
adultery against
Yep,
your neighbor's wife. There's no
yep,
need to cheat your friend.
yep,
Business deal, you have to be very
yep,
straightforward.
yep,
Don't inflate the prices. And if you're a government official, serve the people.
yep.
Don't serve the people for your own greed and all of those things, that vices that we find in our society. Is all about loving one another. And do you think we miss that, or we are missing that
Oh, we are
message?
missing that. We are missing that. And I think one of the reasons we are missing that, I tell my friends, but people don't like to hear it. And I usually tell friends, one of the most dangerous movement now to Africa and Liberia is this whole new breath of charismatic movement that is all across Africa. You fast, you pray, God will bless you. You give, God will give to you. Those are not biblical.
Mm-hmm.
We all know God blesses all His creatures, even those that don't even believe in Him. That's what
Mm-hmm.
made God so merciful.
Mm-hmm.
He even blessed those that even don't believe in Him. He even blesses them. But
Mm-hmm.
but we got a new movement that is across Africa that encourage laziness, uh, encourage things that don't make sense, and people have bought that whole thing, So this movement is creating that kind of culture that I think is affecting not just Liberia but Africa as a whole.
Okay, you're talking about the quick fix. So you go to a church, you're expecting blessing for God to bless you and solve your problem, give you more money and all of that. So people have that anticipation when they go to the church, which of course should be wrong, because the reason why we go to church is to glorify God and worship Him. We can go there selfishly, like one pastor said, I think John MacArthur said, we go there to glorify God. But if we twist that around, say I'm going to the pastor so that I can get blessing and so that I can pay money for them to bless me, then we got it all wrong,
Yeah.
right? So the quick miracles, the blessing, and the all rubbing oil, quick to get everything selfishly, it is so wrong. It's a wrong idea. It is unbiblical in a sense. However, you believe that the pastors and the teachers in the church, they should focus on developing people spiritually, how to pray, how to reach out to their neighbor and let them know what is sin and what is not sin and what God's word says. So you pretty much focus on developing the person so they can learn how to commune with God Himself and have that relationship with Christ. Then for you to stand in a way as an intercessor and leading, the person with no knowledge or understanding what he believes. Is that what you say?
Yeah. In that sense, people need to study, and whose responsibility is the responsibilities of pastors and churches to equip the lay people, to be able to live out the mission that God has called them to do. Because here we say you in Liberia, you call someone Zokos, you find people that that even fast and pray for harm to happen to their enemies, which is not
Mhm.
biblical. Jesus said it was said to you to love your neighbors and hate your enemies. But I say to you, pray for your enemies, pray for those who persecute you, that you might be sons and daughters of your Father in heaven. Because God allowed the sun to shine on the just and unjust. But
Indeed.
how will people get to know these things when we don't have teaching pastor, we don't have teaching minister that will equip them, to live out fully. I tell people, God will come from heaven to make these things happen. That's the reason each time you pray, your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. God is dependent on us. The kingdom now before the kingdom future. But the church is more focused on the kingdom future than the kingdom now.
But the thing is, we got for me. I just like for us to be very clear, because we have different people watching this podcast, so we want to be clear, specific, and to the point, so that people won't hear us and think we are against giving. okay, we are not against giving, is the amplification of giving. Because in Luke 6:38, Jesus talked about giving.
Yeah.
Give is a principle. So if a pastor is teaching giving, there's nothing wrong with teaching giving, but to the extent to which the giving is being taught, and that's one thing. And the issue of intercession is also biblical and scriptural. So we are not saying it is wrong for the pastor to intercede and pray for his members, because Jesus also tells us to pray for one another. He also prayed for us. So I want to be clear on that, so that we don't leave this program and people say that Pastor Davis and Dr. Red and Pastor Deddeh are against giving and the quality prosperity.
No, we are not.
So, we don't want to leave the program.
Giving is a unique thing. People got to teach giving. The kind of connection I come from the United Methodist Church. Our giving is taught in a way we have generous people. We just have generous people that, we teach the principle of giving. Those are people that get passion for the work of God to continue here, even if they are gone. Let me give you an example. Moody United Methodist Church is in Texas. Mrs. Moody, she's sitting in her living room this day. She called her pastor, the Methodist pastor. The pastor came to her. She asked the pastor, I want to give to the church. Just tell me the amount I will give to the church. And the pastor discerned and looked at Mrs. Moody and said, if you can give a percentage of your wealth to the church, that'll be great. And she said, done. She gave the church 10%. 10% of her worth. Mrs. Moody passed her estate. To now, Mr. Moody estate is in the hundred, it's in the almost $1 billion. And now that church, because of that generosity, listening to a pastor teaching about giving, that generosity that Mrs. Moody, she's gone. But today, the Moody United Methodist Church in the Houston area gave away millions to nonprofit to help people across the world.
That is a very good.
We're not saying giving is a terrible thing. Yeah,
that's a very good segue to what I want to take you now.
Yeah, and even our United Methodist churches in America, we are passing the local churches. Our local churches gave what we call apportionment. Those money go to the conference. The conference take apportionment, give it to the global church, and all these money that what we use to do all the missions to do across the world, called and all the different things. Giving is a wonderful thing, but it's an act of worship. Yeah. But people are not reached to the point to understand that giving is an act of worship.
Great.
It's not where you threaten people if they don't do this, God won't bless them.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. So if you're just joining us, we'd like to say this is the Gracious Hope Live podcast. We are here with our special guest, Reverend Cephas Davis of the United Methodist Church in the United States. He recently visited Liberia, and he is giving us some insights regarding the condition on the ground, especially when we take a look at the harmony between our culture and our faith. And so if you're just joining us, we'd like to say welcome once more. And Reverend Suah is also here. And we'll be right back. Don't go away. Make your comments, okay? Make your comments, please. We'll be right back. All right. And we are back here. I'd like to say welcome again. And share your view. What do you think regarding our culture and our faith, and how we can express our faith within a culture so that we all can coexist harmoniously? And also, we looking at some of the things that the church do, and that is the teaching of the gospel, whether it's a true gospel or whether it's a watered down gospel version, and look at some of the controversy in our churches. Reverend Davis, looking at one of the churches in the U.S., they recently had their conference, okay, where they came from all walks of life in the world, and they endorse clergymen or the clergy people or person to be, whether you're gay or not, you can serve. Can you throw a little bit light? I know it's a very uncomfortable to discuss on time, but looking at Liberia, I remember
Hey.
one of the bishops came up and said that we are not a gay church. We are not a gay church because there was rumors going on. And so we just want to kind of get into that and see where your take is. What do you think?
Yeah, you know, I'm a traditionalist when it comes to marriage. But the conference that happened, that was the United Methodist Church, the church I belong to.
Okay.
We had our general conference, and our general conference happened every 4 years. Delegate comes from all around the world, both clergy and laity. Usually, the delegates is 1,500 pastors, 500 lay people. And we amend our book of discipline. So one of the issues we've been having in our denomination is the issue of homosexuality. It has been a very, thing that we have discussed. We are talking about almost every general conference since 1972. And so how did it come about, into our church? In 1972, at the time, the rights of gays and lesbians were violated, especially within America. It was like a taboo. So the church said, let's come up with a statement that, that even those who practice homosexuality, they are God's children too. Let's come up with a statement to be able to, advocate for them that the maltreatment and the hate is not good. So the church agreed. They came up with a statement, and somebody came from the floor. They amended that resolution, and the amendment they had there was, though everybody are God's children, they are sacred worth, but then we had a statement in our book of discipline that says homosexuality is incompatible with the teaching of Christ. So that went through the legislation process. It was amended to our book of discipline. And our book of discipline, when we amended a general conference, that amendment has to go to every other conferences across the world. They have to vote and get to third. So that happened. So that language was in our book of discipline from 1972.
What's about tradition? Oh, go ahead.
And thank you, because I have a question. If you have a follow-up question on that.
Yeah. So that amendment happens in 1972, and every general conference in 1972, there have been legislation to remove the language that homosexual incompatible with teaching of Christ, that self-avowed homosexual cannot be ordained in the United Methodist Church. So the two statements, we have wrestled over it for years. So it brought about schism. Other group of people, they decided to leave after in 2020 after COVID, and so then this general conference decided to remove the language, to remove the language from the book of discipline, and did not put any other amendment in the language. So the language was removed. Yeah, the language removed in the book of discipline. So the language no longer in the book of discipline. So, and we pass something called regionalization. So every region decides their context, how to do ministry. That local churches can decide what they want to do. Whether they want to have a same-sex wedding, they can decide to do that, but it's no longer in the book of discipline. So that's the whole issue that just happened at our general conference.
So you mean, are you talking the general conference was 2019 or 2023? Which one?
Oh, we had a general conference in 2019 where we had different plans. The traditional plan, it passed. People rebelled. People said that they like it, and that's where we have additional conflict that happened again. But the general conference should have been 2020, but because of COVID, so the 2020 general conference, that's why it was just held in 2024.
Okay. So as we speak now, over 7,000 congregations, especially around the country, USA have left the United Methodist Church. Can you speak to the Liberian Church, whether they still part of United Methodist Church Global?
Oh yeah. The United Methodist, the Liberian Church is still part of the United Methodist Church. I think the interesting about the Liberian United Methodist Church, the United Methodist Church in Liberia used to be a missionary conference for the U.S. It used to be a missionary conference. So when it became a full conference, the bishop for Liberia, they were all Americans until 1979, in the 70s when Suah and we began our first edition of bishop. Yeah, but the church in Liberia is still United Methodist Church. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay.
But just that they don't have any clergy who is gay, right?
No, 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 no. You know, that's been the problem. We got some pastors who are saying the bishop should call a special conference, you know, for the annual conference to disaffiliate from the United Methodist Church. But if you look at our discipline and doctrine, a conference cannot disaffiliate from the church, and only a local church can disaffiliate from the church, because the local church made up the conference. So a conference can say we leave in. No, the local churches can leave. Yeah. If they reduce the number of local churches that should equal to a conference, then that will become maybe like a missionary professional conference. But local churches got right to leave. Yeah, we have about 7,000 churches within America that disaffiliated before the general conference. Yeah, they disaffiliated. Yeah, and now they formed another denomination called the Global Methodist. Yeah. So even after our 2016 general conference in Oregon, you know, this movement came out called the Westland Covenant, which I was part of, which we were the funny people of the Westland Covenant. We met in Chicago. The movement started. We started here in Iowa, you know. But as time went by, you know, I decided to kind of stay away because the movement became like it became more uncomfortable for me, because for me it was about, you know, it was about holding, you know, the faith and, you know, and teaching. It becomes like you and I, yeah, and it become in a way that you know, that I reached to a point to say, I think I prefer just being a United Methodist, you know, with all my, you know, all my faults and failures, and those with faults and failures, and God will take care, and God will do His own revival.
So are you okay with that, to serve on in the same position and capacity in the same church, if a pastor or a reverend was, let's say, a sexual orientation is gay? Would you feel comfortable with that?
Comfortable serving in the church?
Yeah, like serving alongside with someone who is a professed or known or who practices homosexuality. Will you feel comfortable?
You know, I don't have problem with, you know, serving with some. I got friends who are gay and lesbian. Even while in Texas, the church I pastored, there were lesbian couples. Where I was a youth minister, there were lesbian couples in the church, and they knew my position on traditional marriage, and I told them, you know, and they respected me, and I respected them, and you know, they worked with me when I was in Texas as a youth minister for Lake Palace United Methodist Church, and they were wonderful people. You know, we still friends today.
No, I think Ellis's question is whether or not you'd be comfortable if these people were in the church that are also ordained clergy to work along with them. That's the question.
Oh yeah, we in the Iowa conference we got one or two, you know, profess homosexual, you know.
And they are ordained clergy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that came out. Yeah. Okay. Even when I just came to the Iowa conference, the pastor I was serving, where I was an associate pastor to him, you know, he didn't came out, but I knew he, you know, from
no, we're talking about those who
I know. No, but I knew he was, you know, but he didn't say it. After a certain time, when he retired, that's when he went on Facebook, you know, professing that, you know, he was a homosexual, and I told him, I said, I knew that ever since the very movement I met you, you know.
But that's a different case, Reverend Davis. He left before he came out with me. And it's just because the thing is, we don't want to be clear, because I'm from the doctrine. We have the same situation, and we are clear on that. Yeah, we are very clear on that. So the question is, if you can answer it, it's all good. I mean, you don't have to answer it.
No, I just say I won't have problem with serving with somebody because they are gay. No, I won't have problem serving with them.
Wonderful.
Yeah. You know.
Wonderful.
And talking about serving, okay, so recently your church elevated you to another multitask of serving. That is, you'll be serving through two churches in the state of Iowa, and you and your family, your beautiful wife, will be moving from your current city to another city to serve some churches there. Now, what is it feeling like for you moving to another city and then looking at the roles and responsibilities, all duties and responsibilities that will be coming your way?
Yeah, this will be my first time having a 2-point charge. I have friends that got 2-point charge, somebody got 3-point charge. I have friends that got 3-point charge, but this will be my first time serving 2 churches. So the bigger church will be in this. I'm still learning the name of the city. Some Makokata, Iowa. The First United Methodist Church. Yeah. So
how you call it? Makakata?
Makoketa, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Makuoketa. Yeah.
Don't worry, you'll get used to it soon. Don't worry, you'll get used to it.
I know, yeah. It's close to the Quad City. I went, I met the people, wonderful people. Look forward to see what God do. Like within the United Methodist Church, we do itinerary ministry. So when you come to be an ordained minister in the United Methodist Church, you got to say yes to itinerary. So itinerary, the bishop can call upon you anytime. And sometimes you in a place you want go somewhere new, you can tell the district superintendent, who is a representative of the bishop, and so and the smaller church is about 20 minutes away from Makakata. So it's called Preston, in a small town. Preston is a very small town, smaller where I am now. I'm in Brooklyn, about 1,000 people in this town. So far, I'm the only black guy in this town. So in Preston, Preston is about 20 minutes. The people of Preston, I will be meeting them in person on next week, Wednesday. Yeah, my appointment got announced when I was in Liberia, so I met them via Zoom. But went to see them in person and looking forward to see what God get to do. My kids
So
get
what's
a
the
wonderful
demographic of the 2 churches?
Huh?
What's the demographic? The demographic of the 2 churches, the demographic.
Oh, they are white churches.
So the membership.
Older membership, a younger membership, or middle age.
They are both of them are white churches. All the churches are pastor in Iowa. I'm the only black guy in the church. They are white churches. Makakata, they are, I haven't looked at a membership listing, but the Irish worship attendance around 60 to 65. And the smaller one, they told me say around 12 to 15. They are very, very older folks. Yeah, but in Makakata, there's a potential for growth. Makakata was, they had like a bigger ministry, but COVID kind of dry things up. So there are challenges, to be able to reach new people, which I'm looking forward to that. And having like the church got about 5 certified lay 7, and the certified lay 7 are those that help the pastors, and they preach when the pastor is not there. So going to a church that get 5 certified lay 7 is a blessing. So there are people that can work with and see how best we can expand the ministry in Makakata. Yeah.
Yes, a blessing. Looking at Liberian, here's a young man grew up in Grand Bassa County, Buchanan, since it is in the late 70s. Now he is serving a whole different demographic, American people, white.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? And how do you reconcile that with your own life experience in Liberia and those that you interact with every day in America, and balancing your family life, because and also your education, you're working your PhD as well?
Yeah, it's a very tough tough thing. Some people see you on Facebook, they think everything was just bread and butter, Yeah, but there have been struggles. I remember when I called my older brother, he lives in Minnesota, when I was in Iowa, he told me, say, what church? I said, oh, the church is all white church. And then he remembered what happens when I visited him when I was in Liberia. At the time, when I was a missionary, I comes to the States every year to do mission itineration to my partners. And I remember this time I came to visit my brother in the U.S. It was like 2002. So I came to visit, and on a Sunday morning, I said, oh, I got to go to a Methodist church, because I'm a United Methodist. So then I checked. There was a Methodist church not far from Bronzeville. So I and my nephew, my nephew drove, we went to the church. Yeah. And after service, the pastor, everybody in the church are white, only 2 black person. And after service, this pastor, who is a Caucasian guy, he came to me, he said, oh, very welcoming, We had good conversation. But the sad thing, but the pastor came to me and told me, said, next Sunday, if you come in, there's a church downtown Minneapolis, they got a black pastor and they got some black people there. I think it would be a good place for you to go and worship. Yeah. A pastor, not the member, but a pastor told me that. Yeah. Said that would be a good place for you to worship. A pastor told me that.
Oh, but maybe he just again, my putting a positive spin to it of Reverend Davis. I don't think he was telling you don't come. Maybe he was feeling that you felt not at home there. So from his own humanly speaking position, he said, I think
I didn't complain to you that I have problem worshiping here. Yeah. I didn't complain to you I have problem worshiping when I was worshiping. Yeah, but it been talking about
service. Yeah. I know. Talking about service every day. Let's go back to Liberia because you've been back and forth. And again, I must say our condolences. You mentioned the passing of a relative. It slipped my mind. I want to say that, but I forgot. So let me just, on behalf of Ellis and I, our condolences. Yeah, so you're back and forth. So what are you actually doing now for our people, ministry-wise, in Liberia?
In Liberia, my kind of ministry is kind of different. I tell people, I'm a liberation theologian by training. What I've been doing in Liberia, I envision this movement that that I'm hoping to launch anytime soon, but to kind of like get the movement on the ground from its beginning, I started this Young Minister Conference, and I started in my hometown of Buchanan. So the Young Minister Conference is, I go down every year. This year, last month, we just had the 5th conference of the Young Minister Conference, and I think who is the best people to train, people who serve in the church, who are pastors, who are youth director, to train them in a way to be that prophetic voice, because I believe the prophetic voice is lacking. And for me, I'm a big reggae fan. Bob Marley is, when we talk about idol, my idol is Bob Marley. He got a song, redemption song, emancipate your mind from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. And I believe the problem in Liberia, I think we have to emancipate our mind. I think we need to start thinking differently. We got to start thinking differently. I think if you even get the money, you pave all the road in Liberia, you make it beautiful, they will destroy it. Because if the mind is not emancipated, it will be destroyed. Let's take, for example, the road that the past president faced, the Pinsway Road, beautiful road. But go now see the drainage. People take trash from the house and come and put it in the drainage. Yeah, people take trash from the house and come and put it in the drainage. That's what they do. People sit in Douala, they use things, they put it right there. Then they say, oh, the government doesn't want to clean the city. It's a man thing. So what I've been working on, training these young people to be this prophetic voice, and by the grace of God, when the movement is launched, it's the Liberian Enlightenment movement, and the movement is just about if anybody wants to serve Liberia, they must love Liberia more themselves. It's kind of like a biblical something. Jesus said, "You want to follow me, you got to love me more than father and mother." So if anybody wants to serve Liberia, they got to love Liberia more than self.
So you're promoting patriotism. They put Liberia first, or make Liberia great again. Would I say that?
Yeah,
make Liberia great again.
Yeah. Liberia first. Yeah, Liberia first. And how can we make Liberia first? We got to go back to our root, to go back to our culture. We got to go back to our root, our culture, who we are as a people. We have lost our identity. Who we are as a people, we have to go back to that root.
But don't you think that while other people will say, don't you think we need to find ourselves through to know who God is through faith in Christ? Then we'll know where we belong when it comes to the earthly things. What will you say to people who say that?
The idea, not just the point Liberia doesn't know that God exists. They know that God exists. The people in Liberia know, they know God, they go to church. They go to church. But have they discovered who they are as a person? How will you have relationship with the unseen being with God? You don't even recognize who you are yet.
And how do we do that?
Um, you know, because fun, like we still go back again. We still go back again to the if you go back again to text, when you look at diversity, God is center of diversity. We are all made in the image of God. We are all image bearer. If you go back again, when Jesus gave the Great Commission, he said, "Go and make disciples, all nation." That's diversity, finding your identity. That's what Jesus is saying. He wanted a diverse community. Go again to the establishment of the church in Acts. God brought people from different parts of the world to give birth to the church. Identity, who you are, knowing who you are.
Yes, and I like the point that you made about we knowing who we are. Our history is important, even though we profess to know Christ and all of that. Christ knew his identity. That's why he kept telling the Pharisees and his critics that I know where I'm from, but you don't know where you're from because I know my origin. And so knowing our origin, our root is also important. And I just want to bring that to the attention of all Liberians who are watching today. This is a whole book here. It's called Cultivating Liberian National Pride. And if you want to know more about your country, the history, the struggles, the triumphs, and the progress we intend to make, this book is on Amazon.com and also on Barnes & Noble online, bn.com. And this gives you the practical understanding of what it means to be determined as a nation and people and how best we can love our country. What are some of the things that you need to do to bring about change? How can you love your country? How can you know that your country is the place of your homeland, yet there are other things that people do wrong to make the country go in chaos? But how can you avoid that? And some of the problems we're facing, what are the causes? All in here. You can pick up a copy at Amazon.com. And of course, you will learn a whole lot about your country. And that's what we're talking about patriotism. That's what Reverend Cephas Davis is talking about, loving your country. Did you want to say something?
So we were talking about finding our root and our identity. And look at one of the sad things that happen often in Liberia. You got people, they say, oh, they do traditional wedding, they do European wedding. You're not a European, you're a traditionalist. That's your culture, that's your identity. Go back to the scripture. How did Jacob get his wives? How did Jacob get his wives? He worked, he paid the dowry, he farmed, and he gave him his wife. But we got the European thing, we got the traditional thing. And who say it's wrong for a preacher to come to a traditional wedding and bless your marriage? It's not wrong. But
no,
that's the thing we're talking about emancipating our mind. And look, that go back again to our culture. We people call the bastard masked man, they say bastard devil, they say guilt devil. So tell me, where you go in the world and you tell a stranger, say, let's go and see the bastard devil, he will not follow you because the connotative language of devil is evil. And that's what Patrick said in his book. We have to shape our thinking, and start honoring things that, to start honoring things that as us, because if you even go through the Bible, most of these, there's some of the things we find in the biblical text about Jacob and all these people. These were the culture, these were the tradition, and God still work within that.
Yeah, and we have seen our country traditional beliefs working hand in hand with religious practices, and we having really clash when it comes to religion among various groups. There we have the Islamic religion, we have others, including traditional. We have been coexisting for a number of years now, and with all of the local tribes that we have in our country, we have distinct practices that are also helpful in our reconciliation and living in harmony and also living in cohesion as a people. For example, we have the Parliament chief, who is the chief who judges what's going on, conflict, reconciling conflict. And I know you're expert in conflict resolution. You learn that. But in a traditional way, they have various ways to do it. It may seem primitive in a way, but at times it works. And so if we look at festivals, the music, the arts that bring us together, Maurice Dahl is singing the patriotic song, how you can love your country more, or Fatu Gifla, all these people, Miata family, they sang songs of patriotism, nationalism, knowing where you're from and being proud of your country. And so when we're talking about being proud of your country and understanding your culture and history, we're not necessarily talking about just one group over the other or to dismiss other people. No, we're talking about harmony here. We're talking about unity. We're talking about reconciliation. We're talking about how we can move our country forward in every way, and how you can blend your faith in God or in Christ with your cultural beliefs or practices. And of course, that can form a cohesive force for unity and nationalism. Reverend Deddeh?
Yeah, certainly. I just would remind our audience that we are trying to dissect the intersection between culture and religion, culture and Christianity, looking at the positive sides of culture as it relates to Christianity or to religion. These two things intersect through rituals and practices, through symbolism, through ethics, through morality, and the rest of that. And that's how we're trying to dissect that today with Reverend Doctor. Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm the doctor because he working for the doctor already. So let me just go ahead and add the doctor, Reverend Doctor. Cephas.
But we have. Go ahead. Complete what you're saying.
So that would be for my end, because I was just trying to summarize the whole thing and what we're discussing. Because once you understand our culture,
go ahead. No, I was saying there was one of our listeners here, Felicia Wiseby from Maryland, here watching. And Felicia is asking if she can come in. No, it's not a phone-in program. We will add phone, but it'll be later on. But you can make all your comments here, and we can read about it. I'll read it live on the program here. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And I believe you said,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No. You're talking about unity and national unity, and that's a very, very crucial thing now to Liberia. The issue of national unity, integration of the Liberian people. I think that is core to us moving forward as a people and as a nation. And that's one of the reasons my dissertation will be focused on national unity and how far have the Liberian government, the people of Liberia gone to, what is new about national unity, bringing us together as one people. Because the whole idea, the whole concept of, the native people, the Congo people, the this people, the that people, is still perpetuated today within the Republic of Liberia. So even as I focus on my research, I'll be looking at the aspect of the church. How can the church promote national unity and integration of the Liberian people? And how can policymakers make that happen? But then if we go back to our history, we realize that the land Liberia is inhabited by people that came from all over Africa and free slaves and people from the Caribbean that came to that land. Despite we have some better past, but we are all Liberians. Until we can reach to that point to be able to see one another as Liberians and be able to come to that whole the issue of national unity. One of the person that had more focus and more work on it was Stockman, about bringing the Liberian people together. Even the Kennedy Center that was built, it was a sign of national integration. And what happens to it? It got destroyed for a single hotel, and nobody stood up to say that is wrong. This is our pride. This is our identity. This is our sign of unity. And a person that come and just destroy it to build a
Yeah, I mean,
hotel.
some people advocate against that, but just that, you know, the power that be
Yeah.
says
Yeah.
what it says.
So like you choose hotel, you choose a hotel that even created 1,000 jobs over the pride and a symbol of unity for the Liberian people. That was devastating.
Yeah. And you know, talking about that, also we will have Mr. C. Wallace Smith Jr. here next Saturday to talk more about how can policy makers understand the essence or the significance of arts and culture. That is looking at the music, looking at everything that is artistic in our country to bring about national healing, reconciliation, and social cohesiveness. And that'll be next Saturday. We'll be here, and he'll be talking about the policy aspect of it. And hopefully, he will give us a nugget of wisdom that policymakers will see, because this is all at the end of the day. We want to have a country where everybody will be respected with dignity in what they do or what they bring to the table. That is to make that country more vibrant in every way, and we need such talents, you know, to come together and make our country great in every way. Reverend Deddeh, before
Yes,
we part
brother.
ways here,
Yeah, I just want to dissect to another. I mean, not dissect. Pivot to another very important thing that when it comes to integration and unity and the rest of that. Reverend Davis, I'd like to get your take on the establishment of the War and Economic Cross for Liberia. What's your take on that, sir?
which is the idea about justice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I kind of I 100% support the idea of a war crime code and an economic crime code, to bring about justice. The reality is our people have longed for justice so long. There have not been a complete resolution that we're being able to come up with to say, these things that happen, people that committed this crime, this is, these people, maybe we will have, pound one and let that one go. And there are other people, who committed great atrocity against the state. And I think these people need to face justice. But the whole issue of the whole war crime code, the president have already passed an executive order, so that office is to be able to come up for them to be able to establish a code. And in one of my short video, my advice to them was like, because the 3 points of government agree. So one of the things that office can do is to do a letter to the United Nations, to the United Nations Secretary General, because the crimes are committed in Liberia, those crimes became they are human rights crimes, and so it violates the United Nations rights as well. So if you would send it to the United Nations, if the United Nations pass a resolution, then the United Nations resolution, that's what we establishing the code. But if you do not write the United Nations, it means the government is playing politics, because according to our constitution, the only person that have the power to establish a code is the national legislature, and that code got to be a subordinate code to the Supreme Court. So if you establish a war and economic crime code, you got to go through the United Nations, because if the United Nations pass a resolution establishing that code becomes an international code. It will just be seated in Liberia. So the Supreme Court will have no power and authority over that code.
Okay, we all believe in the whole concept of justice, because justice is a fair treatment of people. Okay, you treat someone fairly, everybody should deserve at least the due process of the law, right? And looking at Liberia going through tumultuous time, and now we talking about reconciliation, we talking about togetherness, we talking about bringing our country back on course and get all of the basic necessities that we need, like a road network throughout the entire country. We want economic development. We want our water system to work. We want electricity to be in all counties and everywhere in the villages. We want the internet strengthening. And there's a lot, our healthcare sector, education, to be more vibrant for the future generation. So all of these things, we all yearn for them, yet we experience corruption from the governing counts, from the governing structure of the country. And so if we look at Liberia right now, and looking at the whole idea of justice, some people say, well, it's a wrong timing. Some people say, no, it's the right timing. But let us do this to deter any future disturbance of our country. And so right now, the whole idea of justice, which of course we all want everybody to get a fair share. We want for people to receive that that satisfaction in a way where it will quench whatever anxiety they have been dealing with. People who wrong them, they want that to be right. They want that to be corrected. And so if you look at the whole idea of justice and also economic war crime court, court, it's all about creating an opportunity in a society where everyone will be treated fairly or with respect and dignity as a whole. And justice emanates from who? From God himself, because we have a God of justice. He's a God of grace and mercy, but he's a God of also justice too. Okay. And his justice can be seen through his judgment and his wrath, right? Yet he expresses love and mercy and grace. So then we see the paradox playing in between there. But then if we say that we want to persecute now and we depend on the international community to do that, why do you think will be the role of our church, the Liberian church? What should be that role in making this to happen? What they should be doing?
The whole idea, the weakening of the prophetic voice of the church, that's what makes it sad. But right, the church should be able, because not everybody, if establishing this code, not everybody will go trace that code to face a prison sentence. No, some won't face prison sentence. Some people will find themselves in the process of restorative justice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the process of restorative justice, and you can partner with the church, because you can partner with the church. The church can be able to play a role in that process when it comes to restorative justice, and even how to teach their congregation in readiness for what is about to take place.
Okay.
Yeah, so the church being that, I always go back to the pastor being a pastor and a theologian. Because if you're teaching your people, if you're teaching your congregation about justice, you're teaching them about, God called to justice and, what God wants us to do, do good, all these things. If people are taught, our society will change.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Our society will change. But if you tell people about loving the enemies, it's like terrible. Love my enemies. That's what Jesus called us to do.
Yeah.
You don't believe it. Every night I go to prayer. Every night before I sleep, I pray for my enemies. Every night.
Yes. And we can love our enemy, but we can never be like our enemy. Jesus also said that. And that brings us to my book, okay? This one, Never Be Like Your Enemy, is at Amazon.com and BN.com. And this is how you can learn how to love your enemy, but never to be like them. That is, the heart that they have to harm you, the evil, should not be mirrored by you in any way. And this is available on Amazon.com. Never Be Like Your Enemy. It's a new book coming up. Okay, so wrap up here, Reverend Deddeh and Reverend Cephas Davis. Any final word to the Liberian people, those who are listening right now, looking at our society, culture, and faith? Where do we see ourselves right now, and where or how do we move forward as a country?
First of all, if we talk, in the summary, I got to talk about, culture and faith. If culture is our norms and ideas and ways of doing things, the way we live and the way we do things, then we should also understand that, our faith play a greater role in transforming us. So our faith will usually kind of influence our culture or the way we do things. Because if I'm saying I'm a Christian, my faith will kind of will kind of lead me to be able to enact laws and policy that will be better for God's children, that will bring renewal, that will bring equality, that will bring better health care, that will bring better education. God, my faith will be able to influence my policy. You know, but at the end of the day, as we talk about culture and faith, we find most of us, so as a church goer, we just go to church. We don't go to Bible studies. It's not just in Liberia, it's globally. How many people said come for Bible study to be taught? But as Liberian people, you know, we have so many. When it comes to our culture, we got so many dimensions of it. You know, we got so many dimensions of our culture, and you know, you got somebody coming to talk about cultural policy. You know, how does our faith influence the policy we write that will better the lives of the people? Because the essence, you know, as a public administrator, I tell people, say the essence of government is to make the people life better. So if you get a culture of corruption, it will not make the people life better. If you got a culture of, you know, impunity, the people left will not be better. That's just the reality. So the essence is to make the people life better. If you have a budget that does not reflect making the people life better, it's a bad budget.
That's true.
Yeah. But overall, are we aligning our faith to influence our culture in a better way, in a better direction? Or are we aligning our faith to divide us from our culture? You know, you find Christians, you know, they got problem with libation. You know, if we say we call our spirits, back another discussion. If we libating, if we come about calling our spirits, it's not the evil one. They are the saints, but it's our culture. Our forefathers, those are the saints of our faith.
Yes.
Yeah. So the whole idea, I think the reason our culture is so distorted because we have people that came in and told us what we're doing was wrong. You know, Dr. Red Pointer talking about, you know, the Chan chief, whether that is primitive. No, that's a white mentor said that was primitive, but it's not primitive. Rwanda was able to resolve the hundreds of cases that people did not thought the code were going to resolve. Those were those chiefs and clan chiefs in Rwanda, the way they did it in the traditional way. That's how they resolved those cases to make the workload very, very low for stability to in Rwanda. But I think the problem is the faith that came to us told us that setting by our culture was wrong, and we believe it, which I think is still affecting Liberia today.
So, okay, I know we don't have much time to go in that wrong part of the culture because I could dig into that more, and then we'll pretty much understand from you where they went wrong. But keep that thought, and hopefully next time we'll bring you on the program for you to talk about which part of our traditional culture is wrong by those missionaries who came. We'll talk more about that. Please keep that as a mental note, and when we invite you back here, so we can expound on that. Until then, to all our viewers today, we'd like to say thank you so much for joining us. And it was a pleasure having our special guest here today, Reverend Cephas Davis. And he gave us a whole lot of understanding regarding our culture and our faith and how we relate to one another for the sake of harmony and also for the sake of understanding ourselves, our identity, and also reconciling as one people under one God and working harmoniously to rebuild our country in a way that will reflect our values and principles that we believe. And so if
I would say one final word to the audience, I'll re-echo the words of Edwin Barclay, a founding father and former president, in the Lone Star Forever. He said, uphold Liberia forever. Desert Liberia, no never. don't desert Liberia, uphold Liberia.
Okay.
And the sense of national unity and integration for the Liberian people, for our culture and our faith, is to uphold Liberia forever and desert Liberia no never.
Okay. And Reverend J. Orlando Flying wanted for you to prove it. We want to give her, you want you to give her evidence, but we don't have time right now. That is to talk about which part of our traditional beliefs or culture that the missionary who came to Liberia brought Christianity said was wrong. So we'll take a look at that, and another time we'll get into that. But we're running out of time.
Okay,
but thank you so much for asking that question. Hopefully,
maybe a good topic will be whether the missionaries that came to Liberia, did it mean better, or did they actually bring Christianity to Liberia?
Or whether they brought the true message of the gospel or not. That we'll be looking at. And in fact, we'll invite you and Mr. Sibo Mapanya, because he's a strong advocate for traditional values.
Okay, invite Pastor Flan too, since he has this question.
Even Pastor Flan. Pastor Flan would like to invite you as well. So we'll have 3 of you here on one of our podcasts here.
No, just sit and listen to Arthur. You just talk the whole.
Arthur will listen to you for you to talk about whether the Christian message of God's kingdom, the gospel, Jesus Christ, whether the missionaries to Liberia actually brought our message in group faith. And
but the missionary, even Christian. That's another thing to talk about.
So we'll talk about that and whether they destroy our traditional values or not. Okay, we'll be talking about that next time. But next week, Saturday, we'll be here at the same time, and we'll be talking about how the arts, music, and other cultural artifacts, everything that identify us from our traditional artifacts to our modern way of looking at our culture. We'll be talking about that and what policymakers can do to fund the arts. And C. Wallace Smith Jr. will be here to give us some ideas on how lawmakers can formulate policies that will help our reconciliation, recovery, or reconstruction, and how we can cohesively come together socially as a country. And so he'll be here next Saturday. Don't miss it. But share this video. Okay, just click that forward button or share button, and so that your friends can be part of this program as well. Until then, but somebody asked how you can get this book. This book is available on Amazon.com. Never Be Like Your Enemy. It's on Amazon.com and also BN.com, Barnes and Noble Online. It is available. And the book on Liberia, you also asked for in your chat here. Cultivating Liberia National Pride is available on Amazon.com. Look for Cultivating Liberia's National Pride, or just write my full name on the screen here, Alexander L. Ray. Once you go to Amazon.com, in the search engine, just write my full name there, and all of my books will come up. And you can get it. They're not expensive. You can get an electronic copy. If you're in Liberia, you can download it right on your phone, Kindle. It is $9.99 for that. And then the soft cover is $19.99. The hardcover is $24.99. Okay. Until then, Reverend Cephas, thank you so much for being part of our program here today. We enjoy having you here. Reverend Suah S. Deddeh, thank you so much.
I told you, I'm not surprised. I told you he was just.
And we wish you the best in your new assignment for the United Methodist Church.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening. If you get interested in our movement, go to letme.org, the Liberian Enlightenment Movement. Letme.org. Yeah.
Letme.org. That is a movement in Liberia. Reverend Cephas Davis is organizing, or he has organized, and he's building upon that. Learn more about it. Letme.org. Go there and find out more information.
LITME.
LITME.
Yeah, LITME.
Litme.org. Okay. LITME.org. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. And may God bless all of you. And bye for now.